the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
It's easier to manage from a roster continuity standpoint, and I don't necessarily think Rodney Rice's recruitment was one of those.
Yeah, because it was like, it's been reported, like you just go to the Maryland site right now, it's like reportedly the deal is reportedly for $3 million. Like it's just out. Like you don't see that just
I Googled
reportedly.
Rodney Rice's name to see what his one season points average was. I couldn't remember it. It was like the first thing that pops up.
Yeah. And that's not the case for most of these transfer portal signings and everything else. Caleb, just how special of a season is Andrew Fischer having for the Vols? How would you put it into the best context for fans who've watched Andrew Fischer all year and just what he's actually done this year for the Vols?
Yeah, I think the best way to sum up Andrew Fischer's season, it's been a season he looks like a professional baseball player at this point compared to last year, especially when you look at his strikeout numbers. Last year he struck out around a 20% clip, which if you're in the MLB batting 300 and cranking home runs, then people can deal with that. But if you're a college baseball player, you probably should not be striking out that much if you want to be considered top tier. This year he's down to, I think, 14% strikeout rate. I mean, his numbers are insane. He leads the SEC in on base percentage plus slugging, home runs, walks. He's got the best average for UT, in conference and out of conference for guys who are eligible. So I think when you look at those numbers, or his best average in conference, when you look at those numbers, like, sure, it might not be the flashiest season. Like, yeah, he still leads in home runs, but in conference, those home runs haven't been as much. He's been kind of a midweek merchant with the home runs, but he's been on base every game this season. He's played every game this season. Availability is one of the best skills you can have. So I think, just to kind of put it into context, a lot of the stuff he's done might fly under the radar just because of how good he's been. And if you got two sides of the coin for a guy like Andrew Fischer, who had a really good year last year. You can look at it like he came into this year, everybody knew what he was capable of coming off of last year. So they know how to pitch to him. He's got a scouting report out on him, and he still was able to put up these numbers. And then there's also, maybe teams are pitching around him. But when you look at Tennessee's lineup, you can't really pitch around Andrew Fischer because you run into 2 or 3 great bats right behind him. So it's been a lot of adjustment for him, I would say. And I think when he came to Tennessee, he kind of accepted the fact that, yes, Tennessee's known for producing power hitters, but if he wants to go to the league, he'd cut his strikeouts down and show that he was a lot more than just a guy who could hit home runs. And I think when you look at that strikeout percentage of around 14%, and then also, on base percentage plus slugging, which is what professional, front office guys just foam at the mouth about, then, he's turned himself into a great, even better MLB prospect and one of the best hitters on this team. And I think now that he's kind of getting into the postseason, maybe the long ball especially will be helpful. But I mean, if you've got a guy who's getting on base as much as he is, and with the walks, and he's getting on I think his on base percentage is 500. So he's getting on base in half of his at bats, which is just insane to think about. So I don't know if I can really put it into context, just how important he is for this team that has really needed every run it could get. But I mean, he's been super consistent and steady, which is all you can ask, because we mentioned it earlier, but the 2022 team was kind of boom and bust. Last year was very consistent. And then you bring a guy like Andrew Fischer, who's kind of the model for a consistent hitter in the SEC. And I think he's kind of summed that up this year.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't really flinched. Like, he had to move to first because of the injury stuff before the year. And you're like, like, that's not a great start. And you're like, how is this going to go? And a great teammate talking about Azuna and how much he's helped them, talking about Curly, and he's become a leader. But it's just kind of one of those where, because the season has just been so crazy and the offense has been so they've struggled with power for the majority of SEC play, that Andrew Fischer has consistency of just getting on base, you take for granted. Like, he's the ultimate taken for granted guy this year, that years from now fans will look and they're like, yeah, Andrew Fisher's probably pretty good. Like, no, Andrew Fischer was really good for Tennessee. Like, he was like special good for the year, where, like you said, like 500 OBP, he was almost impossible to get out. He was not just a home run, because I think before the year we thought he was just like a home run strikeout guy, where it was just going to be kind of boom or bust in the middle of the lineup potentially. But it's like, no, this dude's just like nearly impossible to get out. Like, Andrew Fischer has fantastic plate discipline. He's able to spray the ball all over the field, and he can hit home runs, but it doesn't, like, even as a high home run total, it doesn't feel, Ryan, like he hits a bunch of dingers. Like, it doesn't, I don't know if you feel the same, but this year doesn't feel like he's been mashing to the same way, like even like Billy Amick last year. And it just doesn't feel like that, because he's been so good in so many other ways.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's to Caleb's point. I don't know the stat exactly off my head, but I think he has like 21, 22 home runs and maybe 10 of them in SEC play. So I think
Yeah.
that's part of it.
Yeah.
But like in most ways, when I would say something like that in that context, it would be like a little bit of a slight at the player of like, because in SEC, what you do in SEC play, that's what matters. SEC play in the postseason. I don't care what you do against Hofstra in February. But he's been so consistent. He's gotten on base at such a high clip. And look, I think you guys both kind of combined to make this point. But for an offense and a team that hasn't been very consistent, Andrew Fisher's been incredibly consistent, and I think that's really valuable. And I think that value would be more noticeable if maybe Tennessee had been a little bit better around him, I guess, and a little bit more consistent offensively and had more power hitters in the middle of the lineup like they've had in 22 and in 24. So, and then you made a good point. I mean, he played third base last year at Ole Miss. He spent basically his whole offseason working at third base, and he's been, certainly a serviceable first baseman, solid defensive first baseman. I think all the things that I had questions about him coming into the season, he's been exceptional at, or he's like really answered his questions in a really positive way. And then what you knew he had with some of the power hitting, it's still been there.
Yeah. It's one of the great years, and we'll see how it goes for him. He can continue on with his legacy and his how much he'll be thought about years from now.
I need him to get to 25. That's what I had in my preseason predictions. 25.
I think he can get 25.
Lots of non-conference game left.
Well,
at least
I was gonna
3.
say, I say he could get that.
On Friday. It could be 5.
I mean, he would have to get to Omaha, I think, to get 25.
Good coach. Is he at 21 or 22?
He's at 22, and half have been in SEC.
He can
play,
get it. He can get it before the college.
If you want to get really nerdy about his stats, he's got a weighted on base average of 520, and his batting average on balls put in play is 317. So his stats, like, he's gonna make money next year.
Yeah,
I don't get why he's so low projected in these like mock drafts and stuff. He's like, I think Keith Law had him like 54. I get defensively would be the knock. Like, he doesn't have a true
defense
position,
is a knock, and he's old. He's over 21. So you always run into the issue of, why should we draft you over the 16-year-old from overseas? But I mean, he's proven it at the highest level, and he can hit for power. He can hit for consistency. Yeah.
There's
no knock on his game. Around then, because he's going to be an Angel. The Angels love the older college player. Like, nobody loves the older college player like the Angels.
Yeah.
Hey, and the Angels love the UT guys. So
yeah.
I mean, Colorado or Rocky.
Yeah. Who, by the way, Jordan Beck, shout out to noted leadoff man, Jordan Beck, who we all thought was a natural leadoff at the next level. Raking for the Rockies. They've destroyed Doe, which I just get Doe out of Colorado, please. Like, get an absolute albatross of a situation. Free Doe from that Rocky Mountain air. Get him somewhere better. Free Doe. Like, I got to get him out.
Too? Can we get Halverson out in the escape mission?
Halverson's actually weird. I think he's actually okay in Colorado. He's been immune. Maybe it's the Mizzou thing. Already Midwestern guy. More built for it.
Columbia, Missouri, and Denver, Colorado are basically 200 miles away, is what I've often said. Quick and easy drive from those two places.
Many are saying, I mean, it's very different than South Georgia. I think Doe's a South Georgia guy. Actually, I think I want to say Evans. Remember correctly?
Yeah, that sounds right. I think that's right.
Yeah, so a little bit different.
Over Georgia State.
Georgia Southern. Very different. That's a bad slip up, Caleb, by you. That's a bad one. There's a Southern not state hashtag, like Southern and state. Like, that's a rivalry right there.
I've made that mistake before. State plays in the Brave Stadium. I had a kid from Knoxville play there. And then Southern is Chase Olander.
Yes. There you go.
Take me out back. Send me off with the pitchers from Colorado.
You're seeing that, Caleb? Ryan gave me a heart attack doing the Cam Ward gesture last week on the pod. Like, out of nowhere, he's doing it way more laid back this time, but it was unprompted, just out of nowhere. Like, I almost had a full on stroke on this podcast because it freaked me out. Like, out of nowhere, I thought.
I've watched this guy stripe a drive and leave the tee box doing it.
Uncle Colin, who I've long said is the very, very best sports media has to offer as the Titans making the playoffs.
Oof.
Must be expanding the playoffs.
We'll see. Ryan, most unfairly hated Vol player during the Heupel era thus far. I was thinking about this the other day. Like, just now you've got 4 years of data here of like just the one that you've seen fans just do not like, did not like the most during that time that you don't get, and you still think it just didn't add up.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing with all of that is like I can see the logic to most of it. Like I think I go a couple.
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas podcast. Hell yeah.